All right. Pakistan update. Waqas Ahmad is back. Hey man.
Hello, how are you?
It's just everything's gone crazy, but I wanted to let's talk about I contacted you immediately because a couple days ago the um ousted overthrown Prime Minister Imran Khan, who we've been talking about for years now on this channel, issued a call that I was very stunning when I read it because he's basically saying um, he has certain demands, but he's basically saying we're going to start a civil disobedience movement on December 13th. So do you want to?
Yeah, so it's this is directly related to an incident that happened on 26th of November. PTI had called for a massive protest in Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan. And like thousands of people gathered there. And there's this one central location in Islamabad called D Chowk. It's equivalent of Capitol Hill in Pakistan. So all the parliament building, the Supreme Court, everything is around that area.
Mhm.
And protesters gathered there. And in the middle of the night, the military that was called into Islamabad, not the police, the military proper of Pakistan, they were
Right.
called in. They had snipers sitting on the roof
Wow.
of some buildings on there's this one main road called Jinnah Avenue. There are buildings on the sides of it where people were gathered on Jinnah Avenue,
Mm.
and there were snipers on the roofs of these buildings. There were army deployed right in front of these people, and they started shooting in the middle of the night. And
Wow.
people say that they were using like night vision and stuff. So they started taking out these protesters, especially those who were active and who were on the front lines. And we don't really
Wow.
know how many people have been killed. There are 14, at least 14 confirmed deaths. They were killed, but there are actually hundreds of people missing. So for a lot of these people, we don't know if they're alive or if they've been abducted by the military, what is going on. But all of these events have been confirmed by multiple news newspapers all over the world, like BBC has done a story about it. There's a Norwegian newspaper that has done an investigation about it. Surprisingly, this thing that is being called the Islamabad massacre has received very little coverage in the US
Mhm.
and in America generally.
And there were protests all over the world too, right?
Yeah, on 24th of November, that's the day the protests were called. There were protests in I would say all the major cities of the world. Wherever Pakistanis are, there were protests. And this is really interesting. Like if you look at it just from the perspective of there are videos posted, Dropsite News did a whole thread about it and covered different protests all over the world. So if you look at that, it gives you very interesting and worth looking into template of a global solidarity movement with a cause. Pakistanis all over the world
Mhm.
protested for this in places that I couldn't even imagine. There were a lot of Pakistanis, and they had their allies from their own local communities as well with them. We saw a lot of allies there protesting for Pakistan. But sadly, on the day when it happened in Pakistan, where it was the most important, where it was the main call, they started shooting at the protesters. And now thousands, like, sorry, hundreds of them are missing. We don't know exactly how many are dead. The government stopped the hospitals from issuing any lists or issuing any
Wow.
details. There was one journalist, Matiullah Jan, in Islamabad. He started investigating the total number of deaths. As a journalist, a basic thing that you do after an event like this, you go to a hospital and ask them for the number of casualties they've received, and usually hospitals give those lists to journalists. Um, so this guy, when this journalist went to a hospital to ask for such a list, he was kidnapped by the Pakistani government, and then he surfaced after a day or two. The police had him, and the police charged him with various crimes, and they're all laughable, like possession of
Mm.
drugs, a possession of like being high on drugs, these
Hmm.
kinds of offenses that are non-bailable in Pakistan. He is though out now, but there are other journalists who have been similarly abducted, and hundreds, like I said, are missing. So the civil disobedience call should be taken looked at in this background,
Hmm.
that all of this started happening in Pakistan, and there isn't much now PTI can do. You see, we've been talking about this since the past year. There are steps like
Yeah.
involvement in the political process. They did that. They won the election that was stolen from them. What do you do then? Then you
Mm.
protest. That is taken away from you. You start getting abducted. So options, the possibilities that they had to exercise their political right, they are being removed one by one by the Pakistani junta. Now that all options have been removed, people have uh, resorted, I guess, to some different kind of protests that only the really oppressed can do, like boycotting. They've started. So Pakistan Army has around 50 businesses in Pakistan, and these are
Mhm.
major industries that are part of. They're in cement, they're in fertilizer, they're like in these big businesses. The Pakistani people have started boycotting these businesses. Now there's a major call for boycott of all of these. They make cereals and like from
Mhm.
basic necessities to like if you want to build a house. And they're in banking now. People have started withdrawing their money from their bank. So this is happening. They're being targeted financially from here. But the next call, they say, is going to be civil disobedience. And Imran Khan actually, interestingly, has given a civil disobedience call in 2014, I think.
Mm.
And that at that time he was popular, but he wasn't as popular as he is right now. And the cause that he was running at that time was also not as popular as it is right now. And oppression at that time was also not as crazy as it is right now. So all of
Mhm.
these things have now aligned. And this civil disobedience movement could be really successful if all Pakistanis start just like checking out of the system. And
Mhm.
in the case of Pakistan, the system is not that strong anyway. So in the
Mhm.
US, if you want to like
Yeah.
uh, boycott certain things, you can't. Like these like financial systems and all are so integrated that you can't check out of a lot of things. But in Pakistan, the state is weak, the institutions are weak. So a
Mhm.
civil disobedience in that context could actually work. And we know that the one main civil disobedience movement that has happened in the world was also in the same region. Like in India has like major like
Yeah.
history of successful civil disobedience. And that could make the Pakistani government, which already their governance is untenable, that they cannot
Yeah.
like sustain it. They're having a really hard time controlling things. And it seems like the control is slipping from them more and more.
I was looking it up before our interview and it said 13 hours ago was the call for civil disobedience maybe or but an hour later there was Pakistan court issues arrest warrant for ex Prime Minister Imran Khan's wife. So they're
Oh, they're
another
arresting her again. I haven't seen this story. They had her for 9 months. She was in
yeah.
jail for 9 months. They had just freed her like a couple of weeks ago, 4 maybe weeks ago. She came out and she led these protests. She said
Yes.
she's going to stay there till their demands are met. But when the firing started, nobody thought that there's going to be a hail of bullets that's going to meet them. Pakistani people have been really close to their military for a long time.
Yeah.
They have never really risen up against the military in this fashion. The scale of this is unprecedented, and people didn't think that their own army is going to shoot at them. There are videos. Like I told you, Jinnah Avenue is the main road, and right before the D choke, what's called the red zone in Islamabad, they had put in shipping containers to block that road. And there
Mhm.
was this one last line of defense where there were three stories, three layers of shipping containers,
Mhm.
which is pretty high. I guess one shipping container would be like 10 to 12 feet multiplied by 336. feet at
Yeah.
least, that high. And people started climbing those. And initially during the day, there were videos of people hugging the soldiers on top of that container because there was a soldier station on top of those. There were videos of people hugging them. But as evening went on, there was another video of a guy sitting and praying on those containers, and a soldier runs to him and pushes him off the container.
Mm.
A lot of people thought that he had died, and he could have died, but luckily he only, or unluckily, he broke both of his arms. And in Pakistan, it's really bad optics. Someone who's praying, you cannot
Mm.
move, you cannot push someone who's praying. Pakistan is a deeply religious society. This
Yeah.
has contributed, this video has contributed so much to the hatred of the Pakistani institutions. And now, what happened afterwards was also crazy. That this guy, he went home, he was injured, he had two broken arms, then his whole family was abducted so that he doesn't become like a poster boy for PTI. He doesn't become like a cause people rally around. His family was pressured. He was told to shut up, which I
Wow.
think he has.
So this is such a broken relationship between the people in the army, which, yeah, like when I was there in 2008, that's not that's not how it felt at all. Like it's not like you said, it's very,
Impossible to think about it, to even consider all these things happening.
yeah.
I have a really interesting story. I was thinking about like these set of coincidences that have led us here. This accelerated hatred for the Pakistani military, and which has caused now in Islamabad. Islamabad is the capital of Pakistan. It is also in Punjab. Most people
Mhm.
who live in Islamabad are Punjabis. And since a lot of these protesters, they were coming from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, uh, Islamabad police started racially profiling Pashtuns in
Mm.
Islamabad. So now there's like ethnic racial hatred that's going on. Imran Khan's support in KPK is crazy. He is like massively popular there. And the
Yeah.
situation has come now where Pakistan could actually get broken over this dispute.
Yeah.
The KPK province of Pakistan could like try to go out of Pakistan. And there is, and people who are not even supporters of PTI, just Pashtuns and living in Islamabad, they have created alarm. There's like a concentrated racial profiling going on. People are being racially profiled and they're being pushed out, they're being arrested, they're being disappeared just because of their ethnicity.
So there's like so the army has taken the fact that the maximum popularity for Imran Khan is in KPK
Yeah. And they are
to,
really pissed at that fact because Imran Khan's party also has the government in KPK
mhm.
right now. This is one provincial government they couldn't stop, despite all the rigging, despite everything they did. They couldn't stop him from making a government there because like virtually all PTI contestants won in KPK. They have like 90% plus votes. So
What
they
a mess. So they're setting up for like Bangladesh
Yeah,
2.0.
basically. So this is what's happening. And people are making the Bangladesh comparisons have been made for the past year. And I think they are so appropriate. They don't even capture the scale of what is happening right now also. Because Bangladesh was far away. So the civil
Yeah.
war was not between people to people. It was like the military trying to, a very tiny minority military. When eventually at the end of Bangladesh war, total people captured were 93,000. And out of those, like around 50% were soldiers. So we'd say like 40,000 soldiers, they were captured. And that was it. That was the total strength in Bangladesh. Here, there are 700,000 soldiers and there
Mhm.
are 250 million people. And if this kind of situation, like 100, there are 100 million people in KPK. So if something like this happens, it could be really massive. And this is something that like people who really care about Pakistan, if there are any people in the Pakistani elite, be really concerned about. There are like in every country there is some part of elite that is really committed to your ideological foundations.
Mhm.
And if there's such a thing in Pakistan, they needed to be concerned. But it doesn't seem like anyone is concerned right now about the integrity of the country.
Yeah, there's a real like short-term thinking by the regime now. Just get through this next crisis, like steal the election, crush the protests, like jail the
It's day-to-day
wife.
stuff because they
Yeah.
cannot think too far ahead. For example, the right now the true leader of the country who is on top is the army chief, General Asim Munir. He cannot think beyond his 3 to 6 to maybe 10 years of service. They think about like how do I extend my service 3 more years, and
Mhm.
that is the maximum like limit of their strategic thinking. Right now, there are real existential problems that Pakistan has to face, and nobody is really thinking about them.
Mhm. My God. Well, I mean, I don't know that we have like that much more to say today. We should probably convene again after the 13th, though.
Yeah, let's see how things go.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll keep this one short, and then yeah, well, I'll have you back after the 13th.
Okay.
All right, thanks, man.
Thanks for having me, Justin.